Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow, and I Want to Grow. You hear this from me every single week. I Want to Grow is just about that. It's about our growth, but with our guests. It's not about their growth. It's about how they help others grow. So they've had that growth, and they're now installing it into others, and they're giving those people the opportunity. And with that said, we've got a really, really special guest. Nayef, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Steve.
Oh, please introduce yourself and tell you what you do.
So, introducing myself, basically my ID. My name is Nayef Al-Ibrahim. I'm 42 years old. I'm a husband, father, son, brother, business partner. So this is my social status within the fabric of the community and the society. I'm a civil engineer by profession. I graduated from Qatar University back in 2009, civil engineering. I worked for the real estate industry 6 years, from 2009 to 2015-16, and then 2015-16 I decided I want to do a career shift, and this is where I moved from me being an engineer into being an entrepreneur, where I became a business partner at Ibtechar, my current company. With the current company, I joined in 2015, and in 2016 I was fully involved in running the operation of the company since then.
What not alarms me, but I'm getting older, right? I remember coming to Qatar in 2008. So in 2008, you were still in university. A student.
Yes.
And look at you now. It's like it's just been a big journey for you. What are the differences? And I'm going to start in Qatar first. What are those differences that you've seen over the years in the progression?
Well, that's a good question, Steve. So if I zoom out and I look into the history line as Nayef and where I saw progress, and I come from a middle class family with modest middle income. Started with my just father, who was working for the family, but then my mother joined him, so we became a dual income household, kind of things. My mom and my dad were working. So I still remember back in the days in 80s how we used to live in Qatar and the majority of the society, all the way till 1995, 1996, with the transition of the Emir father, Sheikh Hamad, taking over. And since then, Qatar has been has been through transformative journey that was profound to its own people. And I still remember how we used to live in 80s, 90s, but then suddenly in 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, things start shifting and changing positively. So we had a hard time to buy a new car back in the days. It was a huge struggle. We never traveled during summer or springtime. We didn't have the luxury to do that. So I remember 20 years out of my life, it was with a certain economic, social constraints. But that was the mainstream, generally speaking. But post 2000, it was a different ballgame. So we went from having barely 2 cars, Elena being able to have 3, 4, 5 cars in the house. We're able to travel during spring or during summertime, and it became something normal to us. So this is one household in Qatar that saw this transformational journey in the past 30, 35 years. And I come from that generation who was born in 1982, saw that, but then 1996 we saw a major shift in Qatar, and the ripple effect and the byproduct was early 2000, 2004, 2005, where it boomed drastically. But yet, me going through the educational system, being a student at Qatar University from 2004 to 2009, where before that, who was able to become an engineer and join the oil and gas, is on the success track. But in 2004, 2005, you can see, okay, the oil and gas in terms of investment start injecting in different sectors.
Yeah.
Telecommunication, real estate industry, transportation, airports, airplanes, aviation, I mean. So the investment in oil and gas starts spilling over in different sectors and start opening different opportunities for a on those different sectors.
It's quite staggering, really, how much it has grown, even from my time here, how much it has grown, and with all the developments, and as you said, the spillovers into all the different industries. So you said about let's talk about some of those, infrastructure for one, and the construction industry that's gone on here, the airport, telecommunication, medical. Look at some of the best hospitals, I think, in the world. A little bit more time and they will have that status, but they're doing everything for the nation consistently, and it's consistently improving. So for you to see all those changes, that's impressive.
It is. It's impressive. It is inspiring. But at the same time, I feel a sense of accountability and responsibility. The fact that I was able to live this transition as an individual in this society, but I saw the value of the investment that the nation already had invested in the infrastructure and the economy and its own people. I think it's the responsibility of its own people to take it to the next level. That it's between the pride of the transformation, but at the same time the sense of responsibility and accountability as well. It comes with that.
And I knew it wasn't going to take long in this podcast for you to come out with a statement like that. Because over the years that I've known you, you are that person. I knew that you had the responsibility because you do want to put something back. You want to play your role. But before we get there, because that's the type of person you are, but you could have had your life in, you said engineering?
Yes.
Okay, mechanical engineering.
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering. You could have had your life pretty much sorted, where you could have chose a job to go to on a monthly basis, daily basis. Your life could have been pretty much sorted. Why did you ever then consider going into entrepreneurship?
So to be frank, I had it for 6 years. So I had that flavor for 6 years. So I graduated in 2009. I joined the real estate sector for 6 years. So I started as a junior project engineer, and I ended up as a project manager, reporting to the CEO of one of the prestigious real estate companies here in Qatar. So I lived it for 6 years. But in hindsight, and as a reflective person, I reflected during the 6 years, and I can do more than that. I can give more than that. I can do something different. For that personal internal desire and need, we're growing throughout the 6 years, and I can do something different. I can do more than that. I had that internal needs and demand, but at the same time, externally, from looking at the maturity of the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the way it's being set up to minimize any failure, to maximize the probability of success, or to minimize, let me put it right, to minimize the rate of risk, the probability of risk as much as possible for you to start a new venture or for you to really go on the path of the entrepreneurship. That was equivalent to my desire. So I had that desire, but at the same time, I found that there is this opportunity with the ecosystem that I can test things out with a minimum risk. And I think what I learned, and it was an eye-opening to me, which is something that we never got taught at the university or the school. And by building a venture, even you might kick things off modest, you might kick things off with a very minimal compensation. But the reward is when you really take it to the long-term plans.
Yeah.
Yani whatever opportunity cost you might perceive it, you might lose it early on with your career by not going through that well-paid-off job and choosing the entrepreneurial path, which with the minimal financial compensation. However, on the long term, it should pay off. So by me understanding that math and that mechanics of things, it made, you know what, it's worthwhile for me to really take a bet on that.
Did you have somebody around you? Because that must have been a huge decision to say, I've got this pretty much sorted.
صحيح.
Now I've got this desire, so I'm going to go for the desire. Did you have somebody to walk you through that, and who was it?
Yes. أنا honestly I keep saying this. يعني my current business partner, the founder and the chairman of Ibtechar, Khalid Bjassoum. He's an entrepreneur who has two ventures. So he established Ibtechar in 2011, but then he went in 2012-13 established L-Slabs, the other venture, which is focused on cooking robot solutions.
I've read all about him because he went to the States and done a lot of work in the States.
So Khalid is my business partner.
Oh, wow.
Khalid technically started his entrepreneurial journey back in 2010, 2009.
Oh, wow.
When I was thinking on and reflecting on my career in 2014, Khalid was the go-to person. So I used to have with him this casual chat on a cup of coffee. Khalid, you did this in the past. You started this 2-3 years ago. Take me through it. Walk me through it. How did you go about it? How did you convince yourself and this would worthwhile your career path? How did you convince your family? How did you convince your wife? How did you manage the social pressure?
Yeah.
When you go into the majlis and all of the people in the majlis are يعني engineer in oil and gas ولا engineer in the aviation ولا telecommunication ولا a deputy CEO here and there, and you are an entrepreneur, how did you manage that social pressure? I spent a good time with Khalid really understanding his personal journey and his family journey as well, which translated into me and my wife as well. And okay, let's start grabbing things bit by bit. So we start by analyzing our financial maturity. How much we are spending per day, per month, per year, out of the salary. And from that, how can we analyze our numbers? Is it luxury? Is it necessity? Can we do saving out of that? So by really benchmark our financial maturity, it gave us an understanding what is our bare minimum financial needs per month as a family. That was an eye-opening.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, because I grew up and I was raised and I went into my career without that in mind. So whatever I gain out of in terms of money, I just spend that. And that was the common culture. But due to this internal needs, and I want to really make that step, I had to really figure out the mechanics of it. So Khalid was the right mentor, the right partner, the right guy to really help me to navigate the number part of it, the emotion part of it, the strategic thinking part of it, the strategic planning part of it. For having him, it was an anchor in my journey.
That's the first time that I knew that he was your business partner, because I've seen and I've looked at some of the things that he's tried to do, and quite successfully. And he literally packed his suitcases and went to the States and tried to make this work.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah. You should host him.
Yeah, definitely. You're the one that's going to do that.
We'll do that.
But in that sense, do you think that many people do that now when they're doing a startup, when they're doing the same steps that you're taking?
Honestly, Steve, I'm seeing it becoming more often. And let me give you an example. Yesterday, around the same time, I was having a cup of coffee with a guy who already established, him and his wife, a family, a home business, providing highly nutritioned meal kits for babies from 6 months till 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And they've been doing that for the past, since 2021. And they're doing really well. Financially speaking, customer acquisition, customer base. Their question, okay, how should we scale this? Tell us.
Oh, wow.
You know, I do have a full-time job in a well-reputed company, in a well-reputed industry, well paid off. But you know what? I really want to challenge that.
That's a big jump.
That was an example.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say with this, and these kind of conversations are becoming very common to me today. And I have it with a number of different people.
Whoa.
At different maturity stage, at different phases. Yet, I think people are considering the entrepreneurship as a career path, as opposed to the classical career path in any industry with any career.
Yeah.
So they're looking into the entrepreneurship as a career. And why is that? Because they feel in their value addition to their venture, they can see the results right away. Where in the career, they need to abide with the career progress requirements. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's this, it's an internal desire, personal needs, and we want to do more. So we think in the entrepreneurship space will give us that opportunity.
But the great thing I've heard from you is how the wives are involved in all of these businesses, how the wives are playing a role in helping this, and that must be and I'm just looking at those type of things. That must be a huge benefit when your wife is playing a part in these things.
صحيح. I strongly believe in that. يعني giving our social fabric and social structure. So the family is a cornerstone in the fabric of the society. And if we are not able to really understand this, then the entrepreneurship journey is going to become very difficult.
Very difficult.
Unless you are single,
Yeah.
which is a different case. But if you are not single, which is currently the majority of the people who are really, yeah, I will not say the majority, but I think from the people who are approaching me, I can see that there are a quite good number of people are already in marriage situation. If your life partner is not aligned with you, forget it. It's going to be tough.
We've got coffees in front of us. Tell everybody what you do on a weekly basis.
On a weekly basis?
Yeah.
So on a weekly basis, beside the work needs in terms of me being in the office, or me chasing client, getting in people conversations. So there is the time for Ibtechar, for the company. Then there is the time for my kids, Noura, Hamad, Sultan. Between their different activities and interests, and the quality time within the weekend, plus my wife as well, plus my personal time when it comes to exercise, I mean in terms of training, or sometimes reading. So this is usually how I distribute my time. And the fourth time is just me sitting, doing nothing, being lazy, watching Netflix, just being in that consumption mood, يعني.
Yeah.
This is in general.
And the one thing that I was so impressed, because we met last week by chance, which was you were in the building that we are. You said I try on 4 times a week to sit with somebody that's going to give me value.
Yes.
It's like I'll have a coffee with them and I'll kind of grill them over different things and what I'm going through. And that seems pretty smart. You must learn a lot from that.
This is part of my KPIs as a CEO. So I've been managing Ibtechar for almost now 10 years. And through the past 10 years, I think myself, the company team, we went through a different maturity level and a different stages of the company. And recently, in the past 6 months, I sat down and I was like, okay, you know what? We've been trying a number of things with the company. We're doing so many things here and there. It's just post World Cup 2022, getting in the new era post World Cup. So as a company, we need to be much more of a geared up to what's next. And one of my biggest reflections in the past 9 years, the way we've been managing a company is just me and my business partner. We're heavily involved in all levels of decision making. And my business partner is remote, me here in Qatar. The company is going through different type of market interactions. So what I did, and I went and started consulting people that I trust already managing different scale of businesses. Guys, how should they manage the company? What should they do about it? And a friend of mine, Hassan Al-Khiyami, he's one of my mentors, صراحة. He comes from a family business, 35, 36 years plus, somewhere around that. Mm-hmm. And Hassan introduced me to the scaling up methodology. It's a methodology that brings focus on how you run and manage a company. But you need to be up to the requirement of the methodology. So it was like part of the group. I introduced the scaling up in 2 subgroups, sub-companies under the group. And I have an interesting experience with how those two companies dealt with the scaling up. So that triggered my interest and got my attention. So I started reading the book, I went to the website, started fulfilling a quiz on the website, and then the customer service of the website hooked me up with our current business coach, Karen, Canadian Lebanese origin. So Karen joined us in January 2023, and since then we've been having this focus in, okay, now if in 15 years, where do you see the company? For us to get there in the next 3 years, what do you need to have in place? By the end of this year, what do you need to have? So we start cascading down from that big position of the company all the way till what we need to do this year and what we need to do on each quarter. And on each quarter, we need to sit down and start evaluating. And out of this process, okay, Nayef, where is your focus today? What are you focusing at? Are you spending time in the office? Then there is something wrong. There is a question mark on top of you. You should be out there, and you should delegate the operational responsibility and decision making to the team. So the process enabled and empowered the team, and by having the clarity على where we are heading and what are the expected out of us at the end of each quarter, our team are highly achiever people, self-driven people. So that motivates them by default. So by having that right structure and the right components, I'm being pushed, you know what? You need to be out and have at least on a weekly basis for different conversation with the new people or people that you just know. Just keep this business conversation and play the suit
And
of
stimulate.
the CEO.
Keep it stimulated.
Yes.
But I kind of, that's not easy to be able to let go. Because you've been in from the very beginning, and it must be kind of hands-on. But then to be told to step back and give people the authority to make those decisions like you do, that's not easy.
It's not. It wasn't easy, honestly. يعني okay, there are multiple things. أول شيء, for me to quit my job and to jump to this, it should be worth it. And my personal needs, and you know what, if I want to do this, I really want to build a professional company. We've been reading a lot about the literacy in the books about US companies, Western companies, big companies, and they've been a source of inspiration.
Yeah.
Why can't we build those kind of companies? Why can't we create those kind of cultures? It's very good in we read those literacy and brag about it. We read this book and we read that book. But okay, let's go ahead and implement that.
Yeah. Implementation is so difficult.
Yes,
right?
you see what I mean? There's a huge difference. We can have hundreds of books. But how can we really get close in getting that spirit here in our region, in our culture? So there is this, the personal need part of it. But then I think the process by itself, it kept challenging my beliefs. It kept challenging my beliefs on what I think is right and what is actually right.
Yeah.
Out of validation and experimentation. So I still remember we had the same dilemma that we had in 2023. And okay, we reached a point in, okay, what's next post the World Cup? What should we do? Should we focus on developing this and that? So we had a number of things on the table. But I felt that there is something missing out of those things on the table. What is it? I wasn't sure what's missing, honestly. That's why I went to Hassan, someone out of my common advice network, just for him to challenge my thought and to advise me, to give me a different view on things. He introduced me to this methodology. But me going through the process and trying to understand the requirement of the process and testing it out, that's what really brought peace to me. I remember we had the similar conversation back in 2021, post-COVID, right away. We came out of COVID. It was a disaster. Financially, we're weak. 2 years remote working. The market changed. So, okay, post-COVID, what should we do?
Yeah.
And it was a chaotic, and everybody felt lost. So I had a coach, and I still have that coach, focusing on the intelligent, the social intelligent, and the emotional intelligent part of things. So he had a conversation with me and with the team. I was like, you know what, the team is lacking direction. So I locked myself down for 4 days. I understood how to develop strategy. I went and developed strategy. I shared it with my business partner. It looked very, very fine. We had the KPI for each unit and all of that for the next 3-4 years. And I went and I had town hall meeting and I rolled it out to the team. Everybody clapped. Excellent. We have a strategy. We know what to do next. End of 2022, nothing happened. Still, there is something is missing. So we gave it some time. By 2023, this is where I felt I should do it differently. What is it? It was this, let's have this external coach, this external non-attached person that could come in and just test things out. And what I loved about my engagement with the coach before I onboarded her, we had 3 one-to-one sessions over a month.
What if she came into your business and said, you're the problem?
Huh?
That was a risk, right? She could have come into your business and said, you're the problem.
The fact that I took a step and I was very conscious. I was very conscious and prepared on the consequences of it. Because I keep telling you, I'm a civil engineer. I already have a master's degree. So I gave it all in.
Yeah.
And if I want to do this, I should do it professionally. I should do it right. Yeah, and that's always what's really driving my thinking. Are we doing it right? Are we doing it with the best practice that put us as a good example as a company, as a culture, as a professional? Because there's always this perception about the locally grown companies.
Yeah.
And mainly, especially the companies that grow from the private sector, not from the government-backed companies. There are companies that government-backed. There are certain expectations, certain perception. But those companies are grown out of the incubation and the startup scene and all of that. There is this big question mark على their professionalism, their attitude, their culture, their financial stability and health. So the odds are against
That would have been easier for you being a Qatari company, right? I know the answer to this question. It wasn't easy for you, right?
No, it's not. It's not.
It wasn't easy for you, and that's what I try and keep getting across. You went through all these dilemmas and realigning yourself on a constant basis, and then asking your question, why aren't people coming to me to get the work done? It wasn't a given just because you were a Qatari company. That's for sure.
No, it's not. And I wouldn't love to be labeled like that way.
But they cannot label. I've seen you in several times, and this is why I said this quite simply is because obviously I get some people that will make comments. I'm an expat. I've been here for nearly 16 years, and sometimes people can label, it's easier for Qatari companies. Not so, because it's okay you getting these opportunities, but it's actually then achieving these opportunities. And if you haven't got that team or the ways to pull that contract or that opportunity off, you've got nothing, because they'll only come to you once and they're not going to come to you again because you can't fulfill. But you as a company, I've seen you realizing these things and evolving constantly. And to see where you are today, let's talk about the kind of the growth of your company right now and where you stand.
So as of today, we're almost around 30 people. So we grew from 1 back in 2014-15 when I was in the incubation center till today, almost 30. Hopefully, we're going to grow till 36, give and take, in the next 6 to 9 months, inshallah. We are self-funded, bootstrapped. Me and my business partner Khalid, we injected around 140,000 riyal back in 2014, and that was our injection to start doing MVPs and start test things out.
That's impressive.
Today, alhamdulillah, the company does around 8 digits out of the growth. That being said, we had 2 major crises. One of them was the blockade. So I still remember having this call to my business partner prior to blockade, 3 months prior to blockade. I was telling my business partner, Khalid, in 4 or 5 months' time, we'll be running out of cash. So, and I saw that death line was approaching us at one moment. Another critical situation we got hit when it was during COVID. So prior to COVID, we had trajectory of growth year after year for 2020, 21, 22, 23, with the forecasted projects in the pipeline. All of that got stopped and cancelled, and it changed the trajectory of the company. So from us, we're planning to grow year over year. We ended up having a very constrained operational budget, and we had a serious conversation internally with the team. And look, guys, I know we don't have a trajectory, and we might face a financial challenge. So tell us, what should we do? Alhamdulillah, I think I'm blessed and lucky to have a really good people, because the leadership team came back to me, Nayef, you know what? Let's have a salary reduction approach. So they proposed, and all of the company wide, we're going to have 35% reduction across the whole.
They came back to you?
They came back.
That must be...
And we had that for 2 years. And the logic and rationale behind that, and okay, we would rather to have that as opposed to fire someone from the Ibtechar. Because what we realized throughout the time, Steve, and the actual asset and Ibtechar's value in our people. Giving it's a knowledge-based company in a knowledge-based economy. This is the league that we're playing in. So when talking about innovative solutions in either individual capacity building or entity capability building, it would require that cumulative experience based on clients, based on different projects, based on different scopes. And this is basically has been stored within our people through the accounts that they've managed, through the people that they manage. So they are the actual asset and the actual value of Ibtechar. If we decided, you know what, let's keep our cash and let's fire people, it would have been easy, but I will lose the whole value of Ibtechar.
Yeah.
For today, moving from that moment where we're doing around 7 digits during COVID, we maintained it, but we maintained the team. Today, alhamdulillah, we jumped a digit with the same team.
And that's a big jump.
It's a huge jump, alhamdulillah.
That's a big jump.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Did you ever feel at times that you'd had enough?
I have.
Had enough?
Yeah, I do feel that 75% out of my time. I do feel it constantly. And to me, I think this is part of the journey. And this is part of the process. And with that, you need to build the fitness. Because if this becomes most of my time thinking, then I need to change my path. I need to do something different. And generally, and as a Nayef, I think an entrepreneur in this journey is much more on a career path, where they will build a venture and then they might reach a point where they need to step down or to exit the company, to do something different. They might build a different venture, they might be interested in a different cause and a different mission, or they might end up joining an investment club and start helping others through the investment mean, based on the experience of them building their own ventures. To me, I have this wide range path in front of me that I can do multiple things beside Ibtechar. When the time comes and it's not for me anymore, then I'll take the call. Yani.
In all that time that you've been working until now, mention 2 highlights that have been really standout highlights for you in your career path.
I think one major highlight, Steve, and I want to reflect this on what I brought here with me, is this constant growth, this constant ability and skills to keep challenging your fundamentals. If you lose that skill, you might reach a point where you might become a plateau. I might become a bottleneck.
Yeah.
And that's due to the confidence that you built based on a certain realization. فأنا my biggest highlight throughout the journey, all of that, I think the ability to keep constantly challenging yourself and challenging your beliefs is important for the sake of your continuous growth and for the sake of your pursuing of your personal mission as a human being. So this is one big highlight. Second biggest highlight, I think, and this is part of my reflection today with the team and the journey that we've been through. I think the value of bringing people together and literally sitting down and discussing things and being able to show them it's a safe place, guys. It's transformational.
Yeah.
It's transformational.
I've seen, and I know that sometimes you can think to yourself, and I get skeptic sometimes. Yeah, you can tell, you can make a story about your social media. You can give people a good impression all the time. But your social media seems to be different to me, because you can see in their eyes they're having fun, and they enjoy being where they are today. And again, you're doing partnerships and collaborations with so many top companies right now.
Yes.
That's the key, right? It's
Yes.
just, as you said, constantly improving.
Yeah, يعني this is part of me challenging my fundamental. Early on, we had this inner perception, and we are different, we are better, and I think this is part of the lack of the right maturity at a certain phase. You see, when you are very excited about what you manage to achieve in a short time, for that excitement takes you.
Yep.
Blindly, and you know it all, and you are the actual deal.
Yep.
But through the process and being just humble to the data and the insights and the feedback, it just recalibrate my understanding and my actions. Now we have a mission, and we believe each one in the market has a mission. This is the get-go. So let's collaborate and let's help each other executing and delivering our missions.
I'm constantly learning from you, and I really am. I look at you, and what you're achieving is unbelievable. And you've just said that to me about I've got a business partner also that's exceptional, and that's what I've learned from you today is that I'm going to go back and say, okay, let's, because he really is into that way of looking at things, and I'm probably not. I'm looking at the podcasts and our platforms, etc., but I look at myself on a daily basis and see if I could do more. But I need to do more on that front. I need to look at the stats. I need to look at the insights. I need to look at from an imbalance and accept that there could be improvements that you can make from these stats and figures. And it's always something that even at my age, it's always something that I'm reluctant to. I don't want to look at those stats and figures.
It's a decision, Steve. It's a decision. It's there.
Today is going to be it's going to be a change in my life today, and you've caused it, because I'm going to go back to the office and I'm going to say, right, okay.
I'm glad.
I'm looking at these things.
Thank you.
If you were to look back on your time, what would you have done differently?
Nothing.
Well done. I love that.
Nothing. I would do it again. I would do it again with the same mistakes. Because I think this is what really helped me to feel self-fulfilled, helped me to feel and I'm contributing and shaping value. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is me feeling myself. Yeah, and this whole thing is about you feel fulfillment and you feel you are contributing and doing something. To me, this whole journey, يعني literally resonates very well with me. يعني. I'll do it again.
And I normally say who's the inspirations, but I really do want to ask you, who's the biggest inspiration in your life to be who you are today?
Previously I used to have this, and there is this single superhero, an inspiration, or a super single individual, and I think. Reflecting back, each human being has an impact on me, whether it's positive, negative, with different degrees. You see what I mean? But each one taught me something with the different degrees.
Oh, wow.
And I think my biggest inspiration is myself, to be honest.
I like it.
يعني في الأخير يعني you are part of community, you are part of society. We interact with each other, we fuel each other, and you inspire me a lot. My business partner inspired me a lot. My colleagues in the company inspires me a lot. They inspire me a lot People on social media inspire me a lot. Each one inspires me. But what about myself? How am I inspiring myself?
Yeah.
Me as an individual. I think all of them contributed in shaping who I am today, صراحة.
But you're constantly helping, guiding, supporting others. And that's another thing that sometimes we underestimate, but it's just such a massive value. But you're doing that constantly.
صحيح, because and this is where other people's pay it forward during those moments when I seeked guidance, when I seeked consultation, when I seeked some reflective moments.
Yeah.
So people took part of their time, took part of their beloved people time to allocate that for myself to help me through my personal journey. And I see how those different time really helped me today. And this is where I know I want to pay this forward for others, where people pay it forward to my kids. So it's this
Never-ending circle.
never-ending cycle.
I asked you to bring something along with you today.
Yeah.
Mindset.
So mindset, yeah, the book Mindset. So basically, I still remember reading this book back in 2013-14, and it was the best advice my business partner Khalid gave me. And I just go and read this book. And this is a profound book and a transformational book to me, personally speaking. يعني going through the journey of reading the book twice and navigating through the different mindset setup between the fixed and the growth mindset, and me being able back then to identify myself as a fixed guy with a fixed mindset, and how I was approaching views in life, how approaching life in general. I was a fixed mindset guy. But me reading a book and knowing that it's a decision and it's a process that you need to go through. And it really helped me opening up my mind, صراحة, and helped me take my decision. You know, I really need to take this shift in career. And since then, this became a constant way of thinking throughout my life in general. When you asked me to get something, and I was thinking, okay, what should I bring to this specific podcast session? And then, I don't know from where, somewhere, but the book was highlighted in my mind. And I pulled it out and I looked at it. I thought, okay, I'm going to bring it to Steve. And I read this and I understand this transformation. But what is the insight that I might give also?
Yeah.
And I think my discovery and reflection on for the session, and حتى even me going through this process and reaching different maturity, by time I think a blind spot, I got fixed with that maturity, which get me to the plateau fixed mood again.
Okay.
But I need to challenge that as an ongoing process. So what I'm trying to say, حتى even going through this transformational process, you need to be conscious. Once you reach a certain realization, that's not the end of it. You need to, at a different time, challenge the recent realization.
Challenge.
Yes.
Positive or negative word?
Both, yes. No, positive. Positive. يعني, it depends. Some people would look at it negatively. Some people would look at it positively. It depends. Ana technically, I would look at it positively, Nayef speaking, because sometimes it might be my blind spot, and someone is giving me that gift. And sometimes people would love to challenge me because they want to tell me something, but in an indirect way. In both scenarios, to me as Nayef, it's positive. But to other people, if you want to challenge, it might be a negative thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like the way that you're looking at it. And that's the way that I look at it. The challenge is the challenge. It's like you've got to take the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that fires up so many different emotions inside of you, that competitive edge, that kind of, I'm not going to let this beat you. And you epitomize everything that we spoke about today. You're very very involved in the startup ecosystem also. So you give your time for this. What would be those key messages to the startups out there and SMEs to a certain degree? What would be those key messages for them?
Key messages, I think one major key message is to, I think this is very common, is just to have the right mentor, the right coach, the right advisory, where you just need to sit, reflect, listen, challenge things, and make sure that those people they respect you, but they don't necessarily emotionally will be attached to you.
Yeah,
That's very important for them to give you non-biased opinion or advice. That's very important.
yeah,
For this is one thing. Other advice صراحة, and I think the present and the future would need those entrepreneurs and their ventures more than any time ever صراحة. I think the future holds them accountable for their contribution in shaping it.
yeah. That's brilliant.
Please be out there and take your chances. Try things out. Take your chances.
Yeah, but always work hard and have those special people around you. That team, and I know these simple things, but the team is so important. I'm listening to you, and I've seen your growth, and it's definitely that team of yours. And I do say this now and again. I say it's just a pleasure. It would be a pleasure to work in that team, right?
صحيح. It is. It's an honor.
Yeah,
It's an honor. It's a pleasure and honor as well.
Constantly I learn from you on a regular basis, and I really do. I've really enjoyed this podcast. You've, out of everything that you've achieved, you've had to be an inspiration. You've had to be a great leader. You've had to be a great guy, and that I love the thing about challenging, but it's not easy, and you're constantly out there doing the best you can for others. And I suppose that's the reason why you're on the podcast today, because you are a special person, and I thank you for so much for coming on the podcast.
No, Steve, thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and chance to be part of your podcast and allowing me just to be on the stage with you, Sarah. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed. For you guys listening, okay, I say these, I don't want to keep on repeating myself, but it's very simple for me. Nayef is a perfect example of who you should be, okay? It's who I would love to be. There's attributes that he's got that I want to improve on also. So make sure that you're constantly challenging yourself in becoming the better person, okay? Modesty is one of them. Just be as modesty and humble as you possibly can. Show people the way. Guide those people the way. It's not always going to be easy. The journey is not easy. But if you take it step by step, you never know what you can achieve. I'd also like to say thank you for Workington. Workington gives us the opportunity to be here, to do this studio, to listen to people's stories, to help other people gain from those stories. So I really do thank Workington, because without you guys, I tell you, my life would have been a lot more difficult, and we wouldn't have got the same messages that you're giving me the opportunity to give out there as best as possible. So thank you so much, Workington. And until next week, but please like, follow and share, do all of those things that I've been told to tell you to do also. But it was great to be with you this week. Hopefully see you next week too. Bye.